The History of the Decline and Fall of the 500 Worlds is a historical treatise in 6 volumes that chronicles the diminished and eventual dismemberment of the realm of Ultramar during the Horus-heresy and the Great Scouring. It was written by the renowned historian Edward Gibbonius between 622 M34 and 701 M34. It is one of the most important works of Imperial history and remains widely read throughout the Imperium to this day. Gibbonius published his account in both Low and High Gothic, and the 2 versions tell very different accounts of this period of time. The Low Gothic version was, of course, meant to be read by the everyday citizens of the Imperium, whereas the High Gothic version was intended only for the eyes of imperial and planetary nobles, clergymen, and adepts of the administration. In Low Gothic, Gibbonius begins his account during the betrayal at Kolth. There, the mighty lord of the 13th Legion, Rebute Gilliman, had gathered his full force of 1,000 space marines, his trusted friend and spiritual advisor, the mortal preacher Lorgar Aurelian, and the human armies led by a Lord General whose name, we are told, has been deliberately struck from Imperial history. The Imperium remembers this man simply as the servant of the arch-traitor. Gibbonius explains that while, elsewhere, the arch-traitor General Horus raised his flag in rebellion against the God Emperor, the servant of the arch-traitor launched a cowardly and dishonorable sneak attack upon the Ultramarines and the pilgrim militias that accompanied them. The traitor forces were driven from Kolth, but only after the Loyalist forces had taken serious casualties. The history then goes on to detail the events of the Shadow Crusade. The arch-traitor, it explains, knew that he could not hope to confront the united forces of the Emperor's 9 sons, the Primarchs, and his 9,000 grandsons, the holy angels of battle, the Space Marines. Therefore, General Horus sent various traps and snares designed to delay, distract, and detain the legions and other loyalist forces who might come to the God Emperor's aid upon Terra. Gibbonius goes on to chronicle how the servant of the arch-traitor led hit-and-run campaigns across the 500 worlds of Ultramar. This required Gilliman to dispatch each of his 10 companies on constant defensive maneuvers, defending the innocent peoples of the realm, thus preventing him from mustering a force capable of going to Terra's aid. That was until the arrival of the Primarch's 2 brothers, the angelic Sanguinius and Lionel Johnson, who turned the tide of the Shadow Crusade. With almost 3,000 Space Marines, reinforced by the armies of the devotees of the Lectitio Divinitatus, we are told, the 3 Primarchs cornered the servant of the arch-traitor and delivered to him the God Emperor's judgment. In the next section, the 3 brothers met upon Macragge to discuss the relief of the throne world. The 3 could not agree upon who should have the honor of being in the lead en route to Terra. What follows is one of the most moving and beloved scenes in the Low Gothic version of the Decline and Fall of the 500 Worlds. In the scene, the brothers sought out the only person whose wisdom and righteousness could command the respect of all 3. Their father and Malcador the Sigillite being absent upon Terra, this was none other than the preacher Lorgar Aurelian. The 3 brothers each argued their case before the holy man, who then rendered his judgment. Gilliman, he said, was the greatest strategist and he had suffered the most in the war thus far, but this did not mean he should lead. The Lion, a great tactician, still led almost a complete legion, but this also did not mean he should lead. Sanguinius was a warrior without peer, whose sons would follow him into any Terra, but this alone did not grant him the right to lead. Lorgar explained only one attribute could determine who should bear the mantle of leadership, and this was holiness. Although Lorgar loved Gilliman as a son, he said that he must deem his brother, the angel, to be the most holy of the 3. So, therefore, Sanguinius would lead the fleets to Terra. While Gibbonius' work mostly focuses upon the titular 500 Worlds, he does include a brief account of the well-known events of the Siege of Terra. This includes how Sanguinius arrived upon Holy Terra in time to aid his father, but that his 2 brothers did not. How the angel was cut down by the arch-traitor's hand, how Horus was in turn slain by the God Emperor, and how the God Emperor, having been wounded, was then interned within the mechanisms of the Golden Throne. The last 2 volumes of The Decline and Fall detail how, during the Great Scouring, the forces loyal to the Arch-Traitor were driven from Terra and destroyed wherever they took root. Particularly, Gibbonius focused on the campaigns led by Rebute Guilliman across the 500 worlds, and how, in an act of pious devotion, the Primarch surrendered all but the last dozen worlds of his realm. As stated, the Low Gothic version was aimed at the great masses of the Imperium and sought to protect them from knowledge which might be dangerous to them. The High Gothic version is much more honest in its portrayal of the heresy and its aftermath. It discusses the heavy losses taken by the Imperium, the disunity of the Imperial leadership, and the power of the forces arrayed against the throne. The most glaring difference between the 2 texts is that the High Gothic version acknowledges the existence of traitor Astartes. While the Low Gothic text presented the 9 loyal legions as being the same as modern Space Marine chapters, albeit each led by a Primarch, the High Gothic version admits to the existence of the 9 traitor legions and the fact that hundreds of thousands of Marines fought in the conflict. In the first volume of the High Gothic version, Gibbonius names the mysterious servant of the Arch-Traitor. This transhuman, who led the attack against the Master of Ultramar and the author of the Lectitio Divinitatus, was the Legion Master and overall commander of the 8th Legion, Cor Pharaon. During the Shadow Crusade, the High Gothic text goes into detail about the dozens of loyal worlds razed to the ground, and how Guilliman and Lorgar were hard-pressed to resist until the arrival of the 1st and the battered 9th Legions. However, the Brother Primarchs are shown to be far less warm and fraternal than in the Low Gothic version's hagiography. Indeed, in one scene, Guilliman and the Lion almost come to blows. What's more, the great esteem the cleric Lorgar was held in by the Primarchs in the previous version is shown to be false. He is shown to be but another member of the War Council, respected, listened to, but not deferred to. Far from the close and dear relationship between a ruler and his confessor, Guilliman is shown to be distant and formal when dealing with Lorgar. Gibbonius all but states that his portrayal of their friendship in the Low Gothic version was a fabrication. Following the events upon Terra, which are portrayed much the same in both versions, the High Gothic version recounts the creation of the Codex Astartes and how the legions were disbanded into chapters. As such, Guilliman's release of the 500 worlds is portrayed less as an act of piety and more as an act of strategy. Most would say that this was all there was to know of the decline and fall of the 500 worlds. There are, however, rumors. Rumors that persist in spite of the Inquisition's best efforts of a 3rd version of Gibbonius's work. In the so-called forbidden version, the author supposedly details truths and rumors unfit for the ears of any in the Imperium. These rumors speak of doctrinal disputes surrounding something called the Imperial Truth, disputes the modern Ministorum has no record of. They also talk about a great oath sworn by the Avenging Sun at Carve, although no one is quite sure what this oath might have pertained to or whom it might have targeted. There is even talk of some sort of contingency plan drafted by one of the Primarchs and strange theories about the destruction of the world of Caliban. Needless to say, none of these rumors can be substantiated until and unless the Ordo Theoreticus is able to get our hands on a copy of this forbidden version.